Welcome back to another episode of the Elden Ring Fishing Simulator with your host, me. After the incredible success of our last video, we've been getting tons of letters from viewers asking questions like,
literally no one is asking
for any of these videos.
Who are you?
God, you from data people, all the same, back in my day.
Asking questions like, why do you keep talking about frame data? You stole my build, filthy cheater. Aren't parries just cooler backstabs? So today, I'm going to dodge all of your questions and talk about tech. This video is going to be a little different than what I normally do with my videos, and to help me commentate, I've invited my friend, the Sleepy Sheepy.
So, just a little bit about myself. I'm a Virgo, I like long walks on the beach, and I have a specialty in Elden Ring PvP. Hey everyone, I'm the Sleepy Sheepy. I have a YouTube channel dedicated to PvP content, mostly invasions and duels, and I find a lot of inspiration in Rust's videos, so I'm super happy to be here.
So together, we'll be going over an in-depth breakdown on how to identify the right opportunity and set up the right bait to land a successful fish. If you enjoy the video or find the information helpful at all, be sure to like and subscribe.
So taking a look at this duel, we're going to have a player that's running the lance as well as an offhand rapier, and that's going to be a very common setup similar to the Halstock setup where you have a very long pokey weapon and then a short fast pokey weapon.
For this kind of a setup, you have to be really careful about that offhand weapon, but I'm looking to strafe with this little cross-axis movement where I move to the right and then quickly shift to the left to manipulate the hitbox and try and get around what I'm expecting to be a crouch attack. My opponent delays and goes for a neutral R1 instead, so I don't get my grab, but more than anything, it's important to be able to recognize your opening as soon as you see it. And so here my opponent cues the running attack, which I'm able to respond to quickly, get behind, and secure my backstab. As long as you start the backstab grab from the appropriate range, then even if they're able to rotate, especially on this higher latency, you're still going to get the grab, even if they rotate a full 180 degrees.
Alright, so moving on to this next player, we are going to see the lance come out for a second time. However, they aren't actually running that in their main hand. That's in their offhand with a flail in their main hand, which is definitely an unusual setup and means that they're going to be limited in terms of their attacks with that lance. It's only going to be neutral attacks with the lance. And again, Rust, how would you recommend approaching a backstab with a player like this?
What we're noticing from him is he's actually rolling in, so we're going to be using that as our opportunity here. You're noticing that he's not sprinting, he's just walking up to us and being very reactable to our attacks. So we want to bait that roll in, and we're going to do that by doing this little mini circle here and then getting behind the back so that we can get the grab.
And that's really a fantastic point, is to be reactive and really learn about your opponent within the short period of time that you have with them.
So coming up into this fight, you see Lil Bro, and immediately thought is, hey, he Lil Bro, I can be Lil Bro. Look it, we Lil Bros together, yay! And then Lil Bro does Dragon Head, and I'm very sad.
Yeah, so it is extremely disappointing to see somebody wearing the Lil Bro helm go into Bloodhound Step with cross Naginatas as well as Dragon Breath. So really there's only one really appropriate action in my opinion. And Russ, kind of what approach would you take when you see this type of playstyle?
Yeah, absolutely disgrace them in every way possible. So at this point, I'm just going to fish the ever-living hell out of it and do nothing but fish him. He starts pulling out the parry shield though, and now my brain is completely gone. All of my brain cells are destroyed, and I just have to backstab him. There's nothing left to do. That's the only objective.
I would say that's probably a win for the entire Elden Ring community when you see a player with that specific type of setup. It's really just a happy moment for all of us to see that backstab connect.
Honestly, I just can't help feeling disappointed though. Just a little bit disappointed. You know, when you see a Lil Bro, you want to be like, yay, Lil Bro. But now I'm sad, Lil Bro.
All right, so moving on to our next one, we're going to see some HTS play. So obviously the brain is connecting the dots with the running heavy attacks. That could be a good opportunity. However, this player doesn't just have the HTS in their pocket, and Rust doesn't just have that particular opportunity to apply the backstab. So what's kind of the opportunity you're looking for here with this player here?
So we saw my opponent switch out the parry shield, so I'm going to be looking for either opportunities where he takes it off his back to fish for a parry attempt, or I'm going to try and strafe the running R2. In this case, my opponent does both, giving me a perfect opening.
Now, something that I think a lot of players didn't understand when they started playing Elden Ring after Dark Souls 3 is that, in Dark Souls 3, the backstab on a parry punish is so easy to do. It's something you learn very quickly in PvP. It usually happens as soon as you start parry fishing, you get backstabbed in the attempt, and you learn from it. But with Elden Ring, it's a little bit different. So would you mind just kind of speaking to how your approach to a parry is a little bit different in Elden Ring versus Dark Souls 3?
Yeah, you know, against parry shields in Elden Ring, I find that you really have to come at them from a straight-on angle. If you try and strafe around it to the side, then you're typically going to end up in a situation where you're not able to get that frame advantage on them to be able to backstab them quick enough, and they're going to be able to rotate or roll out of it before you can actually get the grab confirmed. So coming at it from a straight-on angle is really going to be kind of your best approach here.
Okay, so in terms of steps that you're looking for, we're going to be, running straight at your opponent unlocked, because if you locked on, that means your body's going to kind of gravitate around them, and that allows some tracking associated with the parry attempt to turn your opponent's body. So you're going to be unlocked when you start, and then you're going to go for a block cancel immediately after you kind of pass behind them, and with that block cancel, it allows you to pivot really nicely at a 180-degree angle and kind of go for that grab after that initial pivot.
Exactly. That, or getting them out of hit stun like we did with that last opponent there, where if he's in hit stun, then he's not going to be able to rotate as well. So if I soft swap to a Mesio cord, then that's going to give me frame advantage to be able to get around him. The soft swap really is what does it though. Without the soft swap, then I don't have any way to be able to cancel my recovery from my greatsword, so I have to so I'm going to miss the opportunity if I don't soft swap.
And that type of soft swapping, I think, is really important to understand, especially if you're running one of these larger weapons with high recovery frames. So if you were to be running something like a Gugs, if you soft swap to a Misericord, if you get something like a guard counter, you'll be much more quickly able to actually grab that guard counter and come out of those recovery frames from the Gugs. So just saying, a potential useful note to mention there.
Alright, so starting off with the next opponent, we're going to be seeing him pulling out the scythe here. But then we actually see him pull out a second scythe. Now, two scythes have a really, really weak hitbox on both their running attacks and their jumping attacks. So as long as I can get on the inside of him, it's really easy to strafe that hitbox and be able to get the grab, because each of those scythes only do half the amount of poise damage. What's really interesting is I actually get a perfect block on that grab, which allows me to poise trade the second hit of the running attack, whereas I just perfect block the first hit.
Now, something that we can appreciate with this player in particular is the fact that they are wearing horns on their head, which does give us a key indicator that they might go for Lightning Ram here at the end of the video, and we are able to actually hop on into that moment, hit them with a jumping attack, and true combo them for the win. I'm realizing I have very little educational content to contribute to this video. All right, so moving on to our next duel, we're going to have a player that's running a katana as well as an offhand crossbow. And one thing that's nice about the Nagakiba is the fact that it doesn't do too much poise damage. So there's going to be a couple different opportunities throughout the course of this duel to grab a backstab. One of them is going to be the running heavy attack with the katana, especially the two-handed moveset, and then a jumping attack. So Russ, what would be your approach when it comes to backstabs in a position like this?
Like you said, trying to strafe the running and jump attacks are mostly what I'm going to be looking for, but if I can poise trade for a backstab, then I'm going to go for it.
Yeah, I also noticed that you did a fantastic job of knowing when you were going to be poise broken and not. So how do phantom hits come into play with, poise counting and just knowing when you're going to get poise broken?
Yeah, so you actually want to be counting your phantom hits that you take, because the phantom hits do poise damage as well. So here we get a poise break, he's going to hit me once, twice, and after that my poise is going to be reset. So from this point, I'm safe to go for a grab.
Awesome, and then here I do see that you do get hit by one of the swings, your poise does not get broken, and then you're able to just strafe around and grab the backstab in a really nice fashion.
Alright, so for my next opponent, we're going to be seeing him sending out here with a scythe. Now, a scythe has a really easily strafable hitbox on the right side of the attack whenever they're doing a neutral R1 or their running attack. Now, unfortunately, I get clipped out of the air a couple of times here, but what we are seeing is that he's doing a little block cancel tech to try and get back to that neutral R1, which means that that's going to probably be my opportunity to go for later on.
Yeah, understanding that hitbox and what is strafable and what isn't is going to be really instrumental in landing these types of backstabs, where if you're going for a roll backstab, it's going to be a little bit too slow and really mess up your timing potentially. So we do see another strafe backstab. This time it connects for the last bit of damage that is required to defeat this opponent.
And so when we come up to the next opponent, he as well is going to be using a scythe. So we're going to be looking kind of for those same opportunities once again. where we can either strafe to the left-hand side if he's doing a lot of crouch attacks, or strafe to the right-hand side if he's going for the neutral or running attacks. And off the bat, we do see the running attack come out. So we're going to be kind of seeing what he does and if he adopts it all and throws in some of those crouching attacks out of neutral.
Here we do see that right side swing, and Rust is very patient in that moment. He doesn't feel that he has the right positioning to go for a backstab, even though he does successfully strafe around his opponent. See, we do see the Loretta Slash coming out from our opponent, and that's going to be a great opportunity to go for a different type of backstab. So no strafing really required there. We do see the roll, and then we also have the opportunity to, go for a couple different types of backstabs with Loretta Slash. You can block through the first part so that you don't get staggered, but the roll is absolutely fine, and it leaves Rust in a great position to deliver that backstab successfully. And Rust, what are you thinking in those moments when you see a player go for an attack, but you don't actually feel like the opportunity is there to grab that backstab?
Well, sometimes it's about the latency. If I feel like my connection isn't, tight enough to be able to get that grab before they're able to roll out, I want to be going for the safest opportunity possible at the end of the day.
So taking a look at our opponent, we're going to see what looks like a main hand thrusting sword and an offhand Nagakiba, and it can be a little bit hard to tell from a distance, but Rust is doing a great job to adapting to this main hand HTS. We see a nice running attack come out, and that's going to be a little bit problematic because it's very susceptible for backstabs. Rust, what do you think players should know about the running HTS and how it works with backstabs?
Yeah, so the HTS has really, really poor tracking on the left side of that hitbox, or the right side from your perspective. So if you just strafe to the left of it, you can get around it really, really easily. If you're not confident about the latency or how well you can get around it, then just consistently walking over to the left if you're expecting the running attack to come out at any point in time will allow you to get around that really easily.
Yeah, I'm noticing in this next duel that you're doing a great job of consistently moving to the left almost the entire time, and that's going to be an awesome approach to see. We're also going to note that the experience level of a player with HTS can be sometimes denoted based on their level of attempts with unlocked and locked on play. Also, we would kind of expect to see some more of the jumping attacks, especially utilizing the 4 frames of an active hitbox on the way down. And, really good players with the HTS will go for those jumping attacks and go for the running attacks much more sparingly.
Unlock play is really going to give you a lot better mobility and the ability to avoid getting strafed and countered. But more than anything, just including a lot more jumping attacks will help you be a lot more successful with this weapon.
Yeah, personally, I enjoy the charged heavy or uncharged heavy. I feel like it's important to mix that up with your attacks, but certainly not utilize it over and over again. Like some players, it can result in some fairly predictive gameplay, but not just going for neutral light attacks can be a beneficial move in my opinion.
Yeah. Good stuff. And that's all we got for you today, but thank you all for hanging out with me, and thank you to Sleepy Sheepy for coming out and helping me out with this video.
Yeah, Russ, thank you so much for having me on your channel. I've been a big fan for a long time, so it was really awesome to just kind of hang out and talk through some duels.
Thanks again for coming out. And everyone, if you want to, please go drop Sleepy Sheepy a follow and a subscription and all donations, or I don't know, everything. Do the thing. Go do the thing. Go do the YouTube thing. And then you guys have a great day. That was a bad last sentence, but yeah.